Hey everyone, this is Derek here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some popular drop methods and seeing how they changed or didn't change after the recent PUBG Mobile 0.7.0 global update. So I've received a ton of requests in the past couple days since this update came out to address concerns with drop methods and how some methods aren't dropping as far as they used to supposedly, and some are dropping further, and why not just take a look at it and put those rumors to rest. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to look at 3 popular drop methods, and we're going to see how far we can go while using them after this recent update. So I'm just showing you an alternate way to get that Predator outfit, that awesome black leather hoodie, as well as those pants and shoes. You can also drop from, or you can also jump from the top of that platform onto those shipping containers. I'll leave a link in the video description to that video because you can actually wear this outfit for free for the duration of the game if you're the first person to get it, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to be doing first, so what we're doing actually is we're going to put a marker on the plane's flight path. And when we reach that marker, we're going to drop and then go as far as we can away from the plane. And then whatever value we have when we land is how far from the plane's drop location we got. So first we're going to be testing the fairly simple just look up into the sky and fly straight ahead method. This is what a lot of people do, especially if they're new to the game. And this was never the fastest way to get on the ground, but it's a solid method and it's still better than what I see some people do. So you can see we reached roughly the location of that marker, and now we are heading away from the plane's flight path, looking straight up with that control stick straight forward. So I'm using just my phone. I'm just using, doing by hand with a virtual joystick. I know in a previous drop video I used Tencent Gaming Buddy with a mouse and a keyboard. It allows for more controlled and more consistent results, but also less realistic ones as compared to people playing on phones or tablets. So I figured for this video, let me just show you what I can do with my phone, just with that virtual joystick, because that's probably more realistic. So you can see that we have opened our parachute. Now I am parachuting down to the ground, trying to stay roughly in line with how far I've flown so far. That way we get the maximum distance. And I'm not going to be doing any feathering of the parachute, just going to be going straight down because that is the fastest way to do it. And before the update, this method often yielded about 1,500 to 1,600 meters. And it looks like that's very consistent with what we got. So we actually got 1,521 meters. And like I said, very, very similar to what I got when I last tested this method under, I believe it was 0.6.0 or 0.5.0. So just know that it really hasn't changed with this latest update. So I'm just going to do this test one more time. And the reason for that is with 0.6.1, there was actually a pretty weird glitch when you jumped every 10th time. So it didn't happen very frequently. But basically every 10th time you would jump, do your normal thing, put the joystick in the right position, and you would go nowhere near as far as you should. You'd only go 600-700 meters instead of 1,800. And it was really odd and really random. So I figured, let me just do that here just to make sure that we are getting consistent results. So once again, we're using the same drop method, just pointing the joystick full forward or straight forward. While I'm looking up, I'm just using the free look tool to see where I'm going, but the camera is actually facing straight up for what it's worth. You can see the parachute opened automatically, and we're going to be landing on a hill this time as opposed to a lower elevation. So when you jump to a lower elevation place like school or the water town or Georgia Powell, those locations you're going to be able to drop slightly further when you're going that way because, well, you don't have to worry about landing on a hill. So we can see 1,500 meters, and that was with a little feathering. Otherwise, it would have been about 1,450 most likely. And that's in line with what I'd expect for that drop method. So I think we can move on to the next one, which is the dab or sideways drop method. So I should also point out that what we're doing today is measuring how far away from the plane we can fly. I'm not measuring how fast I'm doing it. So depending on how you want to drop in the game, like what your objective is, do you want to get on the ground first, or do you want to go further than other people and get somewhere other people might not be able to reach? So with the sideways dab drop method, this is one of the fastest ways to get on the ground up to about 1,000 meters, or at least it used to be, because before the update, that's what you could get. You could usually get about 900 meters or so, maybe a little bit more if you're landing in a low elevation place like we're doing this time. So we're testing the dab drop method, and we will see how far we go. So you can see, again, not perfect with that. Had to adjust the parachute a little bit when it opened up, but it should be good enough for our purposes. So let's turn around and see what we got. We got just over 1,000 meters. That looks in line with what I'd expect. And what's really interesting is see that other person just dropping down now. He did not go as far as we went, and he was slower. So that is why this method is so powerful. If we were landing at that house, I would have switched to dropping straight down once I reached the house, and we would have beat him by easily 5 seconds, which would have given us the opportunity to get a weapon and engage him in the early game, hopefully before he gets anything. So again, we're looking at how far we're going. However, it's also important to keep in mind what the fastest way is, and up to 1,000 meters, even after 0.7.0, that is using the sideways dab method. 100% the best way to drop. Always in arcade, like if you're playing quick match in arcade, that's the way you almost always want to drop, because it's just the best. It's one of the fastest ways to get down. In arcade, it's smaller circle, and it's even more important to be able to get a gun early and engage people in the early game. So I'm only going to use the sideways dab method once, just because it looks like the results are very, very consistent with what I used to get with it. And I want to move on to this method. Don't want to bore you guys too much. This is the 45-degree method. So what I'm doing is I'm looking straight up, and when I dropped out of the plane, I pushed my joystick either to 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock. If you imagine a clock, you're somewhere in between north and west, or north and east. If you're pretending that north is straight up and south is straight down and stuff. So this method used to get you about 1,750 to 1,850 meters. So about 1,800 meters before the update. But now, when we turn around, you can see we did no feathering of the parachute. We get roughly about the same as we would have gotten if we just used the look straight ahead, or look up and dive straight forward, what we did first. So that's really strange, and that's very different. So we're definitely going to have to test this again just to make sure that wasn't an anomaly. So once again, going to be marking a location on the plane's flight path. Going to try to get it as close as I can to that white line. If it's a couple meters off, it doesn't really matter. When I'm getting results like 1,026 meters, I mean, that very easily could be 1,000 or 1,050 just because of where I'm marking it on the mini map. So I just want you to keep in mind that, again, this isn't like super scientific to the perfect meter testing. So here we go again. We're going to be dropping again with the 45-degree method, and we will see what we can find, see what we can find out here. So we're actually dropping the other way now. So the first time I did it, I was pointing my joystick between forward and left. Now I'm pointing it between forward and right, just to make sure that there's no difference in that method. I wouldn't imagine there would be, but I figure, just to get that out of the way, why not check it out? So you can see we're landing near Watertown this time. I think we're just going to overshoot it. So we are heading towards the church that is on the top of the ruins, or one of the ruins churches, or it used to be a church, I think. Anyways, we are quickly approaching it. We're going to be landing. This is a pretty low elevation place, even though we landed on these rocks. So I'd imagine this should be a pretty decent drop. And we got just about, what is that, 1,590? Yeah, 1,590. So just about 1,600 meters, which is really no better than that other drop method. It's very, very similar, maybe a little bit better, maybe 100 meters better. But that is pretty disappointing, because this used to be the drop method that would net you, like I said, like 1,800. And if you feathered, you could easily get 2,000. So we are going to have to find out if it's possible feathering the parachute to go any further. So that's what we're going to test with this last time. We're going to do the 45-degree method because it still shows the most promise compared to the other ones. So I mean, compared to the dab drop method, that one never got you that far, but it's very fast. Up to 1,000 meters, great. And then the other method was never the best, honestly, just, looking up and then dropping with the joystick full straight ahead. It's a decent enough method, but the 45-degree method was always better. So after this recent update though, like I said, 45-degree method still looks the best, but not by much. So what we're going to do this time for a final drop is we're going to go ahead and try to feather the parachute a little bit once we open it. So feathering the parachute is basically a technique where when you go into your parachute, either when you press release or when it automatically opens, instead of just pushing the joystick all the way forward, you push it forward and then back off, and then let your momentum glide you down further. So that's what we're going to be trying this time. You can see I opened my parachute earlier, and that should give me a little bit more time to feather it. And what I'm doing is, like I said, I'm going to be alternating between pushing forward and then pushing back. And you can set an optimum speed. Some people say it's about 35 kilometers per hour or like 30. But you can see I'm on a phone, and it's not going to be super scientific anyways. So I figured let me just do my best to do something that's pretty easy to replicate. You can see I'm just pushing it forward, letting it go back. I'm not actually trying to push backwards and then forwards and then, get the best of distance that I can. I just wanted to show you that, look, feathering the parachute does work in this update. And if you need to reach a little bit further, we were reaching about 1,600 meters before we tried to do this. And now we reached almost 1,800. So if you want to go even further, I'll be putting out a video on that later today or tomorrow where I get almost 3,000 meters after the update. So definitely look forward to that one because it will be coming soon. But in this video, I don't want this to go any longer. I just wanted to test some popular drop methods without doing anything too crazy and show you what the results were. So just to recap, the best was about 1,800 meters. We got that from feathering the parachute with that 45-degree method. And honestly, for most games, the 3,000 meter one, it works, but it's not that practical because it takes you a long time to get there. I'm just going to give you a spoiler right now. So even though it's super cool, and I hope that you'll watch the video because it is a lot of fun to do, for most games, I'm personally going to be dropping at about 1,700 meters and then using the 45-degree method and then feathering just a little bit at the end. So instead of dropping at like 1,850, I'm going to be dropping around 1,700. I think that's a good compromise, gets you on the ground first, still gets you far enough away from the plane that some people can't reach it. And I think that that is one of the best things we can do moving forward, at least for this update. So my name is Derek G. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends to help grow the channel because I certainly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, definitely consider doing that now too for tons more PUBG Mobile content, including gameplay, tips and tricks, loot location highlights, troll locations, and a whole lot more always coming soon. So I hope to see you on the battlefield soon or in my Discord, which I'll also leave a link to down below.